about it again. Rafael Devers getting shipped out of the Boston Red Sox. You were on the side that you thought Boston made a decent move here because of the financial contribution that they no longer have to provide to Devers. Why don't you expound a little bit on that and your perspective with the Devers trade and getting shipped out of Boston?
Yeah, sure. I think it's actually even relevant today, considering they're playing each other this weekend out in San Francisco, the Red Sox and Giants, and kicking off tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time. But, I looked at it and thought, Devers was being selfish. He was being a bad teammate. I understand that the communication was bad. I understand he was offended and disrespected. I get all of it. But in the end, he's playing for the other 25 guys in the clubhouse, and he should do what's in the best interest of the team, and he wasn't willing to do it. And I think that within this move, they get out from $260+ million of his contract, plus it's addition by subtraction. I think that moving his attitude out, now you have a clubhouse with 26 guys rowing in the same direction, all pulling together, all fighting for the same thing. Plus, it sends a message to the young players breaking into the big leagues. It sends a message to the minor league players about what is appropriate and acceptable relationship within the Red Sox organization. In addition, they got four more than serviceable players. I mean, Jordan Hicks is a very serviceable major league pitcher, and he can start, he can relieve. Kyle Harrison has a chance to be a front end of the rotation starter. He's got some big league experience right now. And then James Tipp III was the 13th overall pick in the draft last year, a corner outfielder that can swing the bat. And then Jose Bello, a young rookie ball pitcher with a really good arm. So, they're not a better major league team necessarily right now because Devers is bad. It's difficult to replace. But I think there's going to be far more harmony there, and they have been scoring enough runs as it is. They're going to get Alex Bregman back into the mix here soon. And I think to get out from underneath that money, that financial flexibility gives them so many different ways they can go, whether trading for a money guy at the deadline, going out in free agency this year and being active and signing somebody that better configures with their roster and the talent that they have coming. So I think in the long run it's the right thing to do. Again, I think they mismanaged it from the start, but you've got to deal with the circumstances that you find yourself in currently, and I think they needed to move on.
Steve, being a former general manager yourself, you said you thought they mismanaged it at certain points. Let's say if you were in that position and you sort of had to mend 100 different relationships in regard to Devers to ownership, Devers to general manager, Devers to Alex Cora, Devers to the fans. I think it's a very tricky situation at this point, 6 weeks out from the deadline. Don't you think they could have waited a little bit longer? I know you want to kind of just buy into the youth movement that the Red Sox are doing, but is the timing peculiar to you in any sense in your eyes?
No, I think that what they found was that most teams in baseball thought that contract was not going to end well. $315 million deal. He's in the second year of the deal. He's a one-dimensional guy that's not a third baseman. He's more of just a DH. He doesn't take the best care of himself in the offseason when he comes in and needs to find a way to get into some shape. So I think that they got to the point where they looked at it, had conversations with teams, and realized we're going to have a really tough time finding somebody willing to take this contract. And the fact that they found somebody willing to take it and give them prospects in return, I think they felt like they can't wait to the deadline, have the Giants solve their problem going in a different direction, and then they don't have a trade partner. So I think timing-wise, you're right, it's odd, but I think it just came down to the Giants could really use a bat. They're competing right now, but they know their vulnerability with the Dodgers and the Padres out there. They can't let this offense, dwindle, so they needed to add the big bat. And remember, for the Giants, the reason they were so interested is they can't get a free agent to take their money. I mean, Aaron Judge said no. Trey Turner said no. Carlos Correa didn't pass the physical. They were in on Xander Bogaerts, and he went to San Diego, and they just couldn't find anybody to take their money for a number of reasons. One, because what I've heard is that players are a little leery of downtown San Francisco right now, and that it's not the most comfortable place to go to every day for work. But I think also the stadium for hitters plays big, and it's a pitcher's ballpark. And so, hitters always find another place to go if they're getting the same kind of money. And so they had to trade for a bat. and to bring that in. And they were willing to take some risk and know that maybe they're overpaying a bit, but they have to do it because they can't get anybody else to take their money. And I think the most amazing part of all of this is how did Devers' agent not have a no-trade clause? You got a $300 million contract. You're a star player on the team. The best player on the team is a hitter, and you didn't get a no-trade clause? Now, he might have still said yes, but he could have gotten something for it of saying yes to San Francisco, and maybe it would have just been peace of mind. But the fact that and the Giants looked at it, we're going to get a guy that we can acquire for 8 years, and we don't have to get over the hurdle of a no-trade clause. So there were a lot of different factors that were going into it. But I think for the Giants, they needed to get a bat. Now they've got to manage. Right now he says he's willing to play anywhere there, which is interesting. We interviewed Buster Posey today on MLB Now on MLB Network TV and asked him, I'm just curious what kind of sense of humor you have, and are you going to start him at first base tonight against the Red Sox? Right? That how funny would it be if he said no to the Red Sox? The next he's starting at first base. Now, he said he's going to leave it up to Bob Melvin, that he didn't expect that he would be at first base, here in the next couple days, but they wanted to do some more work. But it certainly would have been kind of thumb of your nose at the Red Sox if they were able to get him to do that.
Host on MLB Network, host on SiriusXM Radio, Steve Phillips, the former Mets general manager, joining us now on Russo and Rizzo. Steve, the one thing I want to add to this, I know you got to operate in the interest of the team. You got to operate in the interest of putting out the best ball club, long-term solutions, saving money if you can. But you got to think about the fans here too. They just swept the Yankees. They were 8-2 at that point in their last 10. They've started to play a little better. Bregman's on the horizon. There was positives to take away from what the Red Sox are doing. And yes, the package, they might get something out of it, but the problem is there's still question marks in regard to some of the guys that they got back in return for Devers. And do you think about the fans in these situations as a former general manager yourself in terms of not like the uproar, they're still going to show up to the games, but this is another situation where the Red Sox, all right, we're going to take 3 steps back because we think 10 steps down the road this is going to help us. That's been the Red Sox mantra for the better part of 10, 15 years? It's been their history. Don't you think that adds a little bit of fuel to the fire from the fans' front?
I do think that not having signed Mookie Betts and trading him, and then losing Bogarts to free agency, and then now trading Devers, there is a compounding effect on all of that. I do agree with you. Although I will tell you that Red Sox fans were very frustrated and disappointed in Devers from every indication that I've gotten. That especially the thing that put them over the top was when it was stated that when Christian Campbell, the rookie infielder, suggested, I'll take some ground balls at first base. I'll go over there and play if you want me to. Devers got mad at him, called him out on it, and said, why are you, it felt like the kid was trying to show him up by his willingness to do the right thing for the team. And they took him up on it. They had Campbell go out, take ground balls at first base, and try to get ready to play it. And that when Devers sort of turned on Campbell, at that point they thought, all right, enough's enough with this. And I think they understood more about this, certainly than they did about Mookie Betts, certainly than they did about losing Bogarts. Although the Bogarts moves probably was the right thing to not sign him, considering how he's deteriorated some in San Diego. So, but they now need to spend that money. They had an off season that was an all-in, go-for-it off season. They have Giolito there. They signed Walker Buehler. They trade for Crochet. I mean, those were win-now moves. The Devers trade sort of, flies in the face of it, but they've got an explanation for it, and their belief is that addition by subtraction, that they will be better with the absence of Devers in their clubhouse.